welcome to Haircolor Confessional. I'm Angela.
I'm Christine.
And today we are here with Mr. Mike Micallef. He is the president of Reata Restaurant, downtown Fort Worth. He's also a food blogger, and he loves to fish, hunt, shoot, and cook big pieces of meat.
Wow.
Right. Welcome, Mike, to the
Welcome.
podcast.
We're so grateful that you're here today.
Well, we actually came on site for Mike.
Yes.
We are at Reata Restaurant.
In Fort Worth.
In case you haven't noticed, we're not where we normally are, but we are happy to come down here just to talk to you.
Absolutely. He's like a rock star in the community.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for coming down.
Yes, absolutely. We have so many questions to ask.
Yeah. So how did Reata get started?
So I actually started out originally out in Alpine, Texas. So, and you have to know my dad. He's a serial entrepreneur. So he had bought a ranch out there in 1991, and then met a guy that was cooking at the Gage Hotel named Grady Spears. And at first, I think my dad had Grady selling coffee, and that didn't really work. And there was an old restaurant in Alpine called Downtown Brown's.
Okay.
So they ended up buying that building and building out the restaurant and opened up that original Reata in March of 1995. So, and really it was a good place for my dad to eat. So that's kind of the start of everything. And then,
it's more of a ranch style restaurant, right?
Or the menu is probably 70 or 80% here.
Yeah.
We serve tenderloin and steak and tamales and things like that, but it's not that different than what you would find here.
Okay.
I actually ate there the last time when I went to Terlingua. I stopped and he made me a reservation so we could go and eat and check it out. Yeah.
So it's about a 7-8 hour drive from
Fort Worth.
Right at
7 hours. So.
Right? Okay.
And for me, the hardest thing is getting there. So what I do encourage people is once you get down there, see the whole area. You know, because a lot of people have heard about Marfa, and it gets written up a lot about being really an art destination. And that's great, but that's only one part of the Big Bend.
Right.
You know, go see the McDonald Observatory north of Fort Davis.
I was going to say the observatory.
Yeah, you can go see Marfa, see the art things in Marfa. In Alpine, you've got the Museum of the Big Bend. You've got a great saddle shop named Big Bend Saddlery that actually makes all the championship buckles for the rodeo for the Cowboys here in Fort Worth. Very classy.
Oh, that's cool.
Classy style buckle. And then you've got the whole Big Bend National Park. You know, south of Marfa, you have Cibolo Creek, which is kind of a destination resort.
Oh, wow.
So lots of things to do out there.
Well, and it sounds like your whole family's out there. You've got a jewelry store. You've got the restaurant.
Not a jewelry store, but I've got a sister that lives out there. So,
okay.
Yeah, so, at least I don't know about a jewelry store, but who knows?
I'm like, oh my gosh, they've taken over Alpine.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk to us about. So you came to Fort Worth and you went to TCU.
I did. So, and the whole ONA. So in the fall of 1995, so we just opened the restaurant. The president of Bank One came and brought a hunter down to the ranch.
Oh, okay.
To hunt on the ranch. So when he was down at the ranch, he said, "Why don't you think about coming to Fort Worth?" And at that time, a gentleman was named Bob Semple, and he's still a banker here, working for Bank of Texas, longtime family friend. The top of the Bank One building, there was a club up there called the Century 2 Club that had gone out of business. And he said, "I'll cut you a great deal." So that's when we really moved to Fort Worth, opened there in May of '96.
Okay. Everything's
going great till we got hit by the tornado in March of 2000.
Right, the F1 tornado.
That's right.
Yep.
Reopened 42 days later. And then was there till January of 2001, where we had to leave the building, but have been here in this location since May of 2002.
Okay.
So.
And this is a great location.
Yeah. This is a great location. Yeah. So back us up a little bit. So you went to TCU.
So finished at TCU. So I actually got my basics there at Sol Ross in Alpine. So there's a small university there in Alpine. So I did my first 2 years there. Went through ranch management program at TCU because at that time it was a certificate but not a degree. But it did count as all of my electives. And then finished with a business degree, a BBA with an emphasis in finance.
So that ranch management really kind of carried over because you guys have that concept in your restaurants with the quality of beef.
It does, and I think more than anything, the ranch management's a great program at TCU. It's probably formatted a little bit more like a master's program than it is an undergrad program because the kids that are in it and they're not kids. I think the average age is usually like 26, 27. Because they want people to have working experience before they go.
Okay.
But you do 2 classes a day, one from 9 till 12, and then one from 1 till 4. So you're basically doing double the hours of what a normal college student's doing.
Okay.
But then by having that one class going at one time, they do 5-week-long field trips. And they try to hit the different, regions within the state and outside of the state. So that if you go to East Texas, where it's an area that's getting 50 inches of rain a year, that's very similar in the types of grasses that grow there are the same types that grow in Florida, right?
I
so
see.
you can, so what you're learning there in East Texas, if you're from Florida, you can take it back to that location. And then, you know,
Interesting.
Sounds
they
like
do
a fun
trip.
class.
I
Yeah,
know.
up in the
From
high
East
plains.
Texas to West Texas, and
Yeah, they do
Alpine is from West Texas.
Yeah, so they go up to Southwest Texas down by San Angelo. And we went to the Sonora Research Station down there.
Oh, that's cool.
Um,
Well,
you
and
know.
we were talking about a little bit earlier about is it the brigade?
So yeah, we
from-
were. So one of the things, and it's called the Texas Brigades. When I went there, I went to the first year of the Bob White Brigade.
Okay.
So it was all, the idea was started by a gentleman named Dale Rollins, who worked for the Texas Ag Extension Service.
Okay.
Um,
By Texas A&M?
Yes, but you know they have this. But then they have within Texas A&M they have the Ag Extension,
Okay.
which basically helps with management and research of all these agricultural lands, right?
Okay.
And part of that is wildlife, right? So he started the Bob White Brigade. I went to the first year. They just celebrated their 30th anniversary.
Oh,
I
wow.
think 2 years ago, so it was like 32 years ago. But great program, and that originally started out as one camp that was all about quail management. Is now there's 2 Bob White brigades, one in North Texas, one in South Texas, 2 buckskin brigades, which is about deer management. There's a waterfowl brigade about waterfowl management. There's
Oh my gosh.
a bass brigade about fisheries management.
So all
There's
of
a
this
coastal.
yeah.
So all spawning from that original Texas brigade.
So it's just expanded.
It really has. And you know, one of the big fundraisers, you know, Dale Rollins started this Rolling Plain Quail Research Ranch, which is out in Roby, which is all about quail management. But one of the beneficiaries of an event that we're going to do, and we've done for the last 3 years, is the Park Cities Quail Banquet.
Okay. When's that coming up?
It's actually coming up this Thursday.
Okay.
So
Pretty soon.
Right? Yeah. So I'm not sure when this podcast
Yeah.
will play.
Right.
But it's 1,500 people, and we
Nice.
feed them in
That's
the
a lot of
Texas A&M
people.
Field House. So last
Yeah.
year, the honoree was Kevin Costner.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it
Nice.
had a huge turnout for that.
Wow.
Really cool event.
And then do they do scholarships and
So they do. So what they do is that Rolling Plains Quail, or that the Dallas, the Park Cities Quail, they benefit different charities or nonprofits or things. So I know,
Okay.
you know, one of the biggest beneficiaries is Rolling Plains Quail Research Ranch. That
Yeah.
being said, in Alpine, Texas, there's a Borderlands Research Institute. They give money to Borderlands Research Institute. One of the professors down there is a gentleman named Ryan Luna, who does the quail management for them.
Oh my gosh.
So they're putting money there. So a lot of really good causes. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love that.
yeah.
That's cool.
It's a great contribute.
Well, and it almost comes full circle, right? So I
Right.
mean, you know,
Absolutely.
So I mean, I met Dale Rollins 32 years ago at the first Bob White Brigade, and now I get to see him still at, you know, the Park Cities Quail Banquet. He'll be in town in Fort Worth when the Texas and Southwestern Cattle Raisers has their convention here in April. But you know, just become a very close friend. But it all started from him starting these brigades back
Right.
30 years ago.
I think I had read like 25 different high school candidates come into the program.
Every year, so for each class. So
Yeah.
yeah, really good program. So
That's awesome.
So, Natalie Wolf runs it now, so does a great job.
Wow.
So I have a question. Did you start the Fort Worth Food and Wine Festival?
I helped start it with my general manager Russell Kirkpatrick. So,
Okay.
At the time, so Russell's a good friend, and the idea really came from the Buffalo Gap Food and Wine Summit,
Okay.
which is out in Buffalo Gap, Texas, which is south of Abilene. Tom and Lisa Perini, they're the ones that really started it years and years ago. And they had an event on a Saturday night where it was basically a tasting event, but they had all these restaurants, and a lot of the restaurants were from DFW. Sometimes you'd get somebody from Austin or San Antonio, sometimes, you know, Big Springs, Texas. But
So definitely all over Texas.
for sure, but what gave us the
Yeah.
idea is that they're selling out this event in minutes, 30 miles south of Abilene. If they're making this work, you know, in Buffalo Gap, Texas, we need to do something to help focus on all the talented chefs and breweries and distilleries here in Fort Worth. So that's what
Yes.
really started it.
So
And
how
we're having
long-
it's 10th year right now.
10th
so.
year. Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That
Yeah.
is amazing. So every year we do go, and
Yeah.
I mean, you see people from Austin, you see people from, I
Yeah.
don't know, all over the place,
All over.
Dallas, and
Seems like there's always new people too.
new people. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's first week in April this year, so
And it's 4 days long
4 days. I mean, it starts out. Let's see. There's tacos and tequila
on
Thursday, right?
Right.
Main
The
events on Friday, and I know I'm going to miss something. I'm not looking at the
fire.
list. The Ring of Fire is on a Sunday.
On Sunday.
They have a breakfast
Rise and Dine
one,
is
Rise and
a
Dine.
brunch event.
and then a dessert thing.
They do have a dessert.
And there was a
thing,
burger.
Night Bites.
Is there a burger one
And then
this
Burgers,
year?
Brews, and Blues.
Okay.
So yeah, that's on Saturday night. So
Yeah.
I'm actually helping. I'm helping judge on Saturday night. So
Nice.
on the Burgers event.
Nice.
So that'll be a lot of
Do
fun.
you try to
love
go to
that.
all the events?
No, I try to just go to a couple. So.
You used to.
Okay, so
probably.
it is so hard to go to those events because there are, I don't know, 50, I feel like there's 50 plus restaurants that are giving you, like, for instance, the burgers.
It's hard to try everything to eat.
Right.
For
And
sure.
so I'm always like, okay, take a bite, and then I'll take a bite, and then we'll throw away and go to the next.
So
And
last year, I mean, really, me and my wife Kendall, I mean, we basically went to the burgers event, and we basically shared the burgers, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Which I thought worked out really well.
Oh, it's
right?
perfect because you can't eat 50 burgers
No.
no,
by
and
yourself.
they're like 4 bites each.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
little
so I mean,
thing.
like most of the, I think there's 13 burger restaurants, but usually there's like 11
It's
to
a lot.
13.
It's a
But
lot.
most
There's so
of
many.
the events, there's 10 to 15 to 25 different restaurant choices.
Okay.
And then obviously you've got a lot of great wines there, a lot of great
Right.
distilled spirits, so it's a little bit all over the board.
So, for those of you who don't know, what you do is you pay for a ticket, go in, and you can have as much food and drinks as you want.
Yeah, it's unlimited.
It's unlimited, but so you try to if you're
If you're doing tequila and
If you go-
tacos, you better beware because you can have a ton of tequila shots and mixed drinks
Yeah.
and lots of tacos as well.
But if you go every year, like we do, you try to taste everything, and it's just
Moderation,
impossible.
moderation,
It's just
yeah.
impossible.
It is so impossible, but it's so
Yeah.
much fun because then I end up going, oh, I love this barbecue, or oh,
Right.
I love this slider,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
or I love
But
this
that's really
drink.
cool. I had no idea that you were a part of starting that until I read that.
Well, and like you said, I think we all get in our routines. We all have our favorite restaurants, and
Right.
most of the time when I'm going to a restaurant, I already know what I'm going to order before I go there.
So you're one of those that looks at the menu and goes, okay, this is what I want, or this is what I'm going to have.
Yeah,
'cause
or
I have it
go
every
to the
time
same
I go.
places all the time.
Right.
The same
And the
thing.
thing about the Food and Wine Festival is you go there and you have a bite of something that's really good and saying, hey,
Yeah. You
I
have
really need to go to Don or Timeo and get the tres leches cake.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, what's your favorite place to fish?
The favorites like Public Lake is probably Possum Kingdom.
Possum Kingdom.
You know,
Oh, that's a
it's-
beautiful spot.
I like it. I've got some friends that have houses out there, so sometimes I can run into people when I am fishing.
Yeah.
That being said, I think you just get comfortable with the lake and it's comfortable with the spots. So
Oh, it's a gorgeous lake.
yeah.
And
You
it's
know
not
exactly
too
where to
far
go.
from this area.
no, it takes me about an hour and 15 minutes. So
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about traffic really that much going west.
And
so.
you know where the fish hang out there?
Yeah, but it's always changing, right? So I mean,
I
went
don't
out
know.
this
I'm
last
not a
weekend.
fisher.
Saturday
Fisherman.
I had
Fisher
I
person.
caught 12 stripers sitting in one spot, right? Went back out there on Sunday, and we all have all these electronics in the boats and GPSs. I'm at the same spot, caught one, and they just weren't there. So I had to go to a couple other places, and ended up catching 8.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the thing about fishing.
They
that
move
kinda
around.
and I think that's what keeps it exciting.
Okay. So
There-
is there a particular fish that you like to catch, or is it anything and everything? Small and big.
I mean, I would rather catch bigger than smaller, but
Right.
But I
'Cause
want
there's so many
action,
different
right?
kinds of fish.
And I think there are people that are probably better black bass fishermen than I am because they kind of grind it out and figure them out. Where if I get out to a lake, I'm going to try to catch striped bass or sand bass and black bass, and I'll try to catch anything that's biting.
Okay.
Do you
So-
keep them and eat them?
I don't. So I don't like to eat
Oh,
fish.
so you catch and
What?
release.
I'm not a seafood eater at all.
Oh my goodness.
So that's so interesting. This is your hobby, but
Yes.
yet you don't like to eat fish.
I'm a conservationist.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I get it. I love it.
So-
Okay, so I know for a fact that you are an artist and you do like to make sculptures of gigantic fish. And at one event, nonprofit organization, Art Station,
Yep.
that we go to every year, you donate a gigantic fish of some sort, whether it's a light or whether it's a sculpture or.
And that started out, a gentleman named Bob Mitchell, a lot of people know him here in Fort Worth. He's the one that kind of got me involved in this nonprofit. So the Art Station, it basically is art therapy for people.
Right.
And they've got an event called Public Figures, Private Artists, where it's notable people here in Fort Worth who aren't, for the most part, aren't artists, but they all do an art piece that's then auctioned off here at the charity event that you've been to.
Right.
And that's been fun for me. Now, it was hard. A lot of them are paintings and stuff like that, and that's a lot of what they do at the art station.
Right.
And
but yours are a little bit different.
Yeah. So, but I'm a welder, so I've got a welder in my garage and that kind of deal. So I started doing fish, as part of my art.
And is it a bass?
No, it changes, right? So
right, it does change because I've seen different fish every year.
So the first year was kind of a striped bass, and then I've done a striped bass, and I've done a trout, and I've done a tarpon jumping out of like a pot of oil. I've done a rooster fish.
Are there pictures of these on your social media?
I do have them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every year.
Yeah.
He does something different. And then, believe it or not, so he does a live auction, part of the live auction, and you raise thousands of dollars.
I've been... Somebody likes my fish. So that's all I have to say.
Every year. I'm like, man, I need to get one of his fish.
It is cool. One of the years, one of the gentlemen that bought the fish, he actually has a house in Greece, right? So he took that sculpture to Greece, right?
Oh, how
so
funny.
And then Fort Worth's such a small community, you'll see him around and you'll talk and that kind of reconnect.
I've got Mike's fish.
Exactly.
Do you do neon fish with lights?
Yes, some years I'll actually put some lights behind them.
Yeah,
so,
that's what I remember.
Yeah. So.
Well, I had no idea that you were such an artist, but I did see that you make your own lures. Do you still do that?
Sometimes I make some. So yes, but mainly they're injection plastic. So you buy a mold. You mix up the plastic, and you can decide, basically what color you want and what kind of glitter you want to put in it. So, if sometimes I'm covered with glitter, I swear it's just for making lures.
Sure.
Is it for fly fishing or is it for bass fishing?
It's mainly for either bass fishing or striped bass. So a lot of them are like little minnow-looking baits made out of the.
Did you ever sell those or no?
I have not. I've given them to friends. And
Oh my
given them
gosh.
to kids and
That's
stuff like
cool
that.
though.
Okay, so I found out you have another hobby that is cooking as well. You have a cookbook from 2008.
What?
Yeah, we do. So
Yes.
but it's all the Reata recipes. So it's recipes that over the years we've had a lot of very talented chefs develop. But then we have to resize them for the cookbook, so they got resized, and I went through and resized them all.
I was like, what can this man not do?
So.
He does everything from cookbooks and on.
Okay, so what is your title for the Fort Worth Talk Show? Do you have a title?
I am just a.
Or you just volunteer for everything?
Well, so obviously Reata's got a big presence at the stock
And it's
show.
not considered a satellite restaurant anymore, is
Well,
it?
they're basically 3 pop-ups.
Okay.
So in the first stock show restaurant, which is Reata at the Rodeo, across from the exhibit halls, it started when we were in between between the tower location after the tornado and this location here in Sundance.
Okay.
So we were just trying to keep ourselves relevant, and we did that through catering. So that
makes
started the
sense.
first year, Reata at the Rodeo, and then that expanded. We took over the Backstage Club, and then the stock show wanted Mexican. And I actually tried to line it up with another Mexican restaurant, and then it didn't work out. So
Now they just want Reata.
well,
They want
Everybody
Mike.
wants
I
Reata.
think it goes back to the relationships, and you got a good relationships to work
Right.
with somebody, and you work together because it's a hard 3 weeks. But I will tell you personally, I've developed so many relationships because of my involvement in the stock show and rodeo. So obviously I'm very involved with the Reatas out there.
Right.
I'm in the Ag Development Fund, which helps raise money.
Oh, that's right.
For all the kids that don't make the sale of champions, this helps raise money for them to get above market prices. Then you've got some years I'm a judge for the Ag Mechanics Show,
Okay.
which is the first weekend. It's cool because these are all the kids that aren't showing animals, but they're through like their shop classes at their high school. They might be welding a trailer or
Oh, wow.
welding a smoker, building tables.
Yeah,
It's
that's
really
cool.
cool to see what these kids are
So
making.
Pascal High School, last year I had gone into one of the classrooms and they were building stuff and I had no idea.
For the Fort Worth Talk Show.
Yeah.
Right, for the Fort Worth Stock Show. And then they were actually presenting it. It was cool.
Yeah.
It was super cool.
Yeah. So that's been really cool and that's been really funny that first week, fun to be involved with. And then Stock Show started the shooting sports 2 years ago.
Okay.
And it's actually the event's actually in October, so it's a little bit before the stock show.
Yeah, I'm
which
like,
is-
I don't know that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's basically they'll do a sporting clays there's a 4-H and FFA shooting sports. So it's a
okay.
sporting clays tournament on a Saturday there in
Wow.
October. Yeah, the Thursday prior to that Saturday event, they'll have a fundraiser shoot, which is people like me and other business people and in Fort Worth that are buying teams and shooting in that event. The title sponsor for that event is was a company called Lone Star Ag Credit, who they had a merger with another farm credit bank out of New Mexico. And I
Okay.
think it's called Ag Trust now. But for years it was Lone Star Ag Credit, so they were the big title sponsor of that.
Oh, wow.
But there's somebody that's based here in Fort Worth, somebody that, you've got friends up and down the organization, so.
Yeah. And
So-
clay shooting is pretty big.
Yeah, that's cool.
And to your point, I maybe get invited to 1 or 2 charity golf tournaments a year, and I probably get invited to 20 different charity
Yeah.
clay shoots events.
Alliance
a
for
year.
Children has a clay shooting event in May.
Yeah.
I have noticed there's more of those, more and
Well, it's
more
such a
each
big-
year.
Yeah, it's a big thing, and they
So
raise
how
a lot of
many
money.
steps did you actually do this year? Because I know you were doing like a guess my steps.
I
Right.
do, and I've done that for a number of years. And I don't know exactly. It was around 15,000 a day, so it was around 347,000
Wow.
steps.
And I'm just going to add to it. You do donations to
Yeah.
whoever wins your guess.
Who
Yep.
won that?
So Carly, who works at the NCHA, the National Cutting Horse
Okay,
Association,
okay.
she won it.
Okay.
And the donation went to the German Short-Hair Pointer Rescue.
Oh, wow.
So that's who she wanted it. But,
Okay.
I've
Super
known
cool.
Carly for years, with her involvement in the NCHA, but then also there's a guy named Bob Aiken who very involved in TCU and Bob, when he was doing his promotions at TCU, he would have the college students basically go ahead and present to him, and present to a panel of
Oh, okay.
business people in Fort Worth, but one of those years was Carly. So
Oh,
it kinda
that's
brings
awesome.
Kind of brings it full circle.
Kind of brings it full circle.
That's cool.
Well, that's cool.
Or I'm just getting old, and these people
Yeah.
that I knew them I first knew them when they
Yes.
were in college at TCU. Now
Right.
they're out there in business and being really successful.
Yeah. the
Well, you
older
do
you
so
get.
many different nonprofit organizations, and I know like one of them you do the chili cook-off. You are you judge, and then you have a whole panel of judges, right?
So yeah, we do. So and I've done that and that's through the firefighters here in Fort Worth. And it's one of those things, coming out of the stock show and rodeo.
Right.
We're there for 23 days, but then you have these firefighters that basically leave their normal station and are working down there in the stock show during that time.
Right.
Well, you meet them and you develop that relationship then. And one year they asked me to judge, and I said, okay. And then the next year they asked me, well, would you organize all the judges for us? And I was like, sure.
And
Obviously,
how many judges do you have on the panel? Do you know?
I get
Because it's a pretty big
a
deal.
bunch because at some point I don't know how many
Are really going to show up.
teams are going to show up. And
Okay.
at some point, I kind of feel sorry for people, and I don't want people to have to eat 30 bites of chili, right?
Right.
So sometimes I'm going to.
There's 30 different types of chilies.
Oh my gosh.
Well, and so you have the red, which is the traditional, right?
Right,
Then you have
right.
a green, and then you have a non-traditional, which is like a pozole, right?
Right.
But some of those stations will create all 3 chilies.
Okay.
Right? So I try to divide it up into enough different groups that it never hurts to have too many judges.
Right. And then no beans, right? Because that's the Texas thing, no beans.
Yeah, I'm not making any determination on that. If they want to put beans in their chili,
Right.
one of the years the chili that won it, the meat was in it was actually black bear.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Which
Oh
is
my
different,
gosh.
so.
Wild
Yes,
game.
Very,
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
different.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
so we have some exciting news. You guys, Mike is expecting a baby.
Well, I'm not expecting. My wife's expecting.
Yes, congratulations.
I had a little part of that.
50%
But she's
of it.
really
at
the
least.
rock
Yeah.
star.
Yes.
Yeah.
So congratulations on
Yes.
that.
Yep.
Well, and then also too, Reata's going to be moving
Right.
down the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're moving back
Yeah.
to the tower in
Yes.
July of 2024.
That's exciting.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so,
that's just right down, like before you know it,
couple
it'll be
blocks
here.
away. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
And you're expecting to be there for maybe 2-3 years until some
we'll
other
see.
opportunities
So,
open
but,
up. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of excitement happening in downtown Fort Worth. Especially the Texas A&M is going to be huge for downtown.
It's gonna
Fort
be
Worth.
big.
It
Yeah.
really is. It's
Yeah.
going to be transformational for that whole southern part of downtown.
Well, you're such a big part of downtown Fort Worth, and you have, there's so many people that come out of town to go to Reata's. So it's going to be
Yeah.
exciting to see what you do next.
So, well,
And well, we just want to say thank you so much for being on our podcast today.
Yes,
absolutely.
And tell people how they can find you.
Reata Restaurant, we're located here in downtown Fort Worth. Reata.net, REATA.net. I think that's the first person I'd send to anybody. Obviously you can make reservations online. We do a lot of events also, we have a lot of event space, especially through the time before we move here in July. We've got private dining spaces really from as small as 6 to as big as 100.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice establishment. I have to admit, I love the tamales and I love the stacked
yeah.
enchiladas.
Oh my gosh, everything here is good.
Yes, I love everything.
I like the little bread basket they bring. And
Oh,
all
perfect.
that's really good.
I
So,
know.
Anyway, well, thank you so much, Mike.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate
Yes.
your time.
We
And
appreciate it very much.
I'm Angela.
I'm Christine.
Thanks for watching Haircolor Confessional.
Bye.